This week on Stay Out of My Fridge.
We're going to bring back Pogs. America, you're welcome.
Brandon just diagnosed you. You have coccylitis. I'm not a hunter, so it was pretty good. Donnie Dust would have approved.
Did you just put like a little burlap sack over your crotch and everything and just make like a little tribal suit? You're like, I'm all man now. Like, this is me. Like, this is what I've become.
I try
hunt for my food every time now.
Like, listen, our kids have watched Frozen enough. They watched enough Disney movies to know that loss and heartbreak is a thing. They'll get over it. That's the way to start an episode, with some giggles, some boys. The voice you're hearing is me. It's Mattis Beardlaws. Joining me as always, Hubin Hockenoff and Brandon J. McDermott. What's up, dudes?
Not much. Doing well. Excited.
Good. Hell yeah.
Good to be
Back
here.
into the groove of the whole work life after vacation, finally.
Yeah. Used to and back to the idea that I'm going to work for the rest of my life and then keel over one day while on the job.
Yeah, that's enlightening. Well, we'll do our best to go over there and celebrate your life. And then you've been whacking off. He's back. He's feeling better. He's looking better. It's good to see you.
Back in the swing of things again. Hit the old bong and even stroke the old dong. I'm having myself a great morning.
Yes.
At the same time?
I tried. I can't multitask. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time either. It's a problem. But you know what? We're overcoming those hurdles like the Olympics.
You know, there's only one time in life where I'm like, God, why didn't you give me more arms? And it's probably one of those times.
What would you call that if you were masturbating and ripping a bong at the same time? That I'm assuming that's already a thing. Like, if we were to actually Google it, turns out I'm not going to. But I mean, it has to be something. When I was on Urban Dictionary,
That's
Brandon's
what I mean. Bong and dong, to me, I mean, it's got to be something like that. Schlong, maybe.
I was thinking, Winter Olympics. There has to be some sliding event that it could potentially, pair well with, if that's the right terminology. It has to be something, but it has to be almost like a name that's like a rare feat, because it is almost impossible. Because you need, unless it's, unless you're maybe to have it on a stand, you need. You find it?
It's called hijacking.
Oh,
That's actually, yeah. That's a good
okay. But, that's good. Obviously, you're high and you're jacking, but that could be any time you potentially were high on any substance. I mean,
Bong
it doesn't
sled?
really... Ooh, bong sledding?
Master blazing. Weed whacking. Leaf blowing yourself. Disappointing your parents. Those are the four.
Those are the ones. So I think there's opportunity for us to come up with a term for specifically the act of doing the bong dong. Why don't we just call it the bong dong?
I like it. Patent it.
There we go.
Not to be confused with whiskey dick.
Oh, what about long bong dong? Did we just hit a different market?
We can
Potentially.
We can. Now we're diverse. Definitely not my market. I'm more of the mini ones. So what's the not so long?
Like the mini brands. We've been moving rooms, and the kids love those little mini brand toys or whatever. And what a pain in the ass they are to pick up. Because I pick it up and I'm like, oh, here's a little ramen. That's got to be garbage. Like, what are you doing? That's one of my mini brands. I've been looking for that. And it's like, pick up your goddamn. It's a nightmare.
Yes. That's back in the whenever my daughter was growing up, they were Shopkins, and it was like these little tiny. Yeah, I'm just stepping on those is worse than the Legos. Those are fucking sharp.
And then the parents, like our parents and other generational ones, are like, you think Legos were bad? What about stepping on those jacks, those metal pieces where you have to bounce the ball and pick them up real quick? That had to be way worse. I never owned one, probably because of that.
I think mine was like plastic ones. I don't think I ever actually had the metal jacks back in the day. But did you boys ever play marbles?
Yeah. I don't remember how it was played, now that you're thinking of it, but I remember having a bunch of marbles and thinking, how the hell do I play this? And then nobody taught me.
Yeah.
I remember it was like they drew like a circle, and you had to kind of like flick the marble to like bounce theirs kind of like out of the ring type of thing is I think how we played it. And I just remember collecting these awesome marbles. Maybe it was like my artistic trait or something back in the day, but I had so many in between of those and Pogs. I don't know if you guys ever had Pogs.
I remember Pogs. Mm-hmm.
I had some pretty hefty slammers.
Dude, like, is that what I can't remember.
Pogs too.
is it like a slammer? Didn't they have like one that was called like a slammer or something like that? I had this Tasmanian devil one that was fucking thick, dude. It was old trusty every time.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Shaquille O'Neal one.
That's
Sick. Magic.
Johnson.
Was it Magic or Lakers?
Oh,
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying Magic Johnson. I thought you were
Me too.
I had Magic.
No,
No,
sorry.
it was
I was
when he
waiting
was with, it was when he was either with LSU or the Magic. Yeah, it was 92, 93. Yeah, it was-
Shit.
damn. I wonder. Everything makes a comeback. Did those ever? I can't imagine those are gonna make a comeback. Like if you were
Those
to get on, Google and be like, "Let me buy some Pogs," because we had a kit. I remember me and my brother where you could make your own Pogs, which essentially like you could just take a magazine or a poster or something like that. I remember cutting up posters and magazines and stuff and just making your own Pogs. And
I remember that. And I remember, I think ours, we didn't do so well with ours. I don't think ours turned out so well. But
ours did all right.
Amazon has them for like, looks like a legit one, 200 with 6 slammers for $30.
What? So for anybody that doesn't know what Pogs are, let me see. Let's pull up the Pogs for people.
the
Apparently, it was
8-ball
also
one, man.
referred to as milk caps.
Oh, I don't think I've
Never
heard
heard
of
it such as that. I'm assuming it went from maybe milk cap, but yes, it was milk caps is a children's game played with flat, circular cardboard milk caps. The game is also known as Pogs, under which name it was sold commercially in the 90s. The name originates from Pog, a brand of juice made from passion fruit, orange, and guava. The use of the juice's caps to play the game preceded the game's commercialization. Oh, educational show. I didn't know that.
So is a Pog almost like a hug? Because we always had like the little hug juices, I think is what we had them, what they were called. Like the little 25-cent juices.
Look at these. If we get together, you guys want to play some Pogs?
I'll tell you this, man. Pogs fell hard, like no pun intended, but they were visually fun to look at and collect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at here. You got anything from Jordan to Sprite, Diet Coke, Poison Eyes. I mean, you could essentially have anything in royalties and stuff. It wasn't like you were going to get arrested for having Diet Coke on a Pog.
We're going to have
There's
a
a symbol
beard
of our
laws
age.
one. We're just going to have
Yin.
assorted characters. You know what I mean? Like we'll each be a slammer. You know, mine's just going to be a dick. It's just like, hey, oh, I got the hammer slammer. Yeah, baby. You know, it's like, it'll be a rare collectibles and everything. We'll have like specific ones. We're going to bring back Pogs. America, you're welcome. This shit's happening.
This shit is happening. Yeah,
It's
we're
like
going to bring it back.
The M&M minis container, but it was just Pogs. You know, those things just imagine pulling like, hey, are you happy to see me or do you play Pogs? Look, commercials are already writing themselves, boys. God damn
How
it.
funny it would be though if like this next thing you know, this is your content. You're the Pog guy on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever else, and you just roll into random places, go to a bar, and just bust out your Pog container, sit down and be like, you wanna play? You in?
See? And then they see the big old veiny one. They're like, oh no, it's the hog. Just like,
Then you have all these quotes of just like
yes. And just, you've been whacking off, and as soon as I slam the Pog down, little splatter comes out. Oh God, there's just so many marketing materials. Oh,
Either of you have a 3D printer?
Yep.
I do. I don't use it.
either of you have a 3D printer that's hooked up.
Mine's plugged in, but it has more dust than it does filament.
Dude, mine is in storage right now, and I've even spent all the money on the auto leveler. I did the programming, everything, so I could press a button, it auto levels. Perfect prints almost every single time. The only time it would fail is if you had cheap filament or a filament break once in a while. But it's ready, because remember Mustache Mate?
Yeah.
I was crushing those out for the longest time, and some other. I miss doing it. I just don't have any friggin' room for it. They're not small.
Mine was just the little Ender V Pro or something, V3 or something. I can't remember what the hell it was, but yeah, a little Amazon purchase whenever I was stony baloney thinking I was going to use it often.
That's what I do. The Ender, I think it's the Ender Pro something, yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, it's easy to use. My dumbass was able to figure it out a little bit, but whenever you tried to make the ones that had like little intricate pieces, like the little snakes and the dragons and stuff like that, for some reason, it would turn into like a bird's nest every single time. I'm like, I'm too stupid
It's
for this.
so finicky because you have to have the right temperature. I even bought one of those things that looks like a grow tent. have temperature control. So I have it inside. Yeah, I have it inside of that. So then it's there. So then you just close it up and it feeds the filament through the side. And that way the temperature is completely controlled and from the environment and everything. I mean, that thing was like $20-$30. I think it wasn't much. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. But I just got to the point where it's like, I was just making stupid shit, spending, not a ton of money, but buying it because the kid would be like, can I have an Among Us character? And I even got into being able to actually create and design things. Like I was able to take like the Beard Laws logo, put it into the right file, design it, use some software. So like I was getting, and honestly, the person that really got me going and any question I ever had was Grim. You guys remember Grim from the chat?
Yeah.
He's super into it. I mean, that's kind of what he does. I mean, on social media, he's the 3D print guy. Sorry, Brandon. There must have been a reason why you were asking before we went nerding out.
I was just going to say, you were talking about having a veiny slammer. You could probably make one.
That would be dope. The only thing is, though, is I only have blue and red filament. I'd have to buy one more.
You could make purple.
Yes. The purple head. Oh, my God. That would be fucking amazing.
Look at that. I did type in, do Pogs still exist? And according to public.com, shortly thereafter, the World Pog Federation was officially shuttered. Other companies that produced Pogs quickly followed suit. By 1998, Pogs had fizzled out and children had moved on to other trends. But by the turn of the century, the Pogs were all but forgotten.
So what better time to do it when it's the 25th anniversary of them departing, right?
Oh, we have time to even ramp up. Okay.
It's so weird to me. Weird in an interesting way. I'm so intrigued by what comes back, what makes a comeback, and what doesn't. Vinyl made a comeback. I don't know if vinyl ever went away, to be honest with you, fully, because people always swore by it, even in the 90s. I mean, remember High Fidelity with Jack Black and that movie?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people loved vinyl. It just wasn't being produced like it once was, and now it is. Well, now it's being produced, at least. Pogs never made a comeback. What were those little Beanie Babies, the beanbag little things? Like they'll never make a comeback. But
Thank God.
Apparently, Pogs made somewhat of a comeback in the last couple of years with NFT stuff.
Oh,
I didn't dive too deep into it to understand exactly, but
Remember at one point we talked about Jenko jeans, if they would ever make a comeback, this or that. Somebody within the last couple of days actually commented on that short from forever ago and was like, yeah, I actually rock Jenkos when I skate. They're awesome.
Jesus.
I said something smart ass, I don't remember. That's my thing. So if you're going to put something in there, I 90% of the time put something very smart ass back as a comment on YouTube.
There were some people who, growing up with in high school, who were they weren't emo, but they were like gothy kind of kids, and they wore those pants that would put bell bottoms to shame. Like it was like basically they wore a dress, like the bottom of the where the heel and the foot comes out was like so big. They'd be all ratted out because they're stepping in mud and dirt and everything else. It's basically so. But and then they would have chains hanging down from it, black fishnet shirts and a t-shirt over the black fishnet and fishnet pulled down to there. Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. What was it with all of these things and the people wearing these when I was in kids? Because I do not remember. I do not know what it was, but anyway.
This is going to make me sound like an old man too. The people that buy brand new jeans with all the holes and stuff in them, that's fashion. So you know what I mean? I don't get the homeless trend. I know people say, "Oh, look at that guy! Look at his beard. He looks homeless." Well, at least my clothes, the ones that you can see, my socks and underwear probably have holes in them. But I'm not wearing jeans with big holes in them. I don't get it.
I don't understand that either. I still buy them, but
yeah, I mean, same.
Right? But and Brandon, I was always super nice to those kids that wore those jeans in school. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yes.
The kids that wore those jeans in school where I was at, there was a very small group of them, but they were super into the Crow. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
For whatever reason. They were the coolest kids. I never had any worry about that happening with those particular kids. There were some kids in junior high. I don't know about for you guys, but that's where bullying was really lived out. In high school, bullying, for the most part, took on a different, you see Susie's shirt? Look, stupid shirt. but like actual like book checking and pushing people into that was junior high stuff, man.
Big
I
time.
never did it or took part in it. I was bullied for a while. But,
middle school, middle school / junior high. I guess I don't like that from like 7th to what 10th grade, 7th to 9th grade, that area. Yeah, maybe 6th. Yeah.
Yeah. But once you get to high school, it's like, dude, I got too much shit to worry about. Anyway.
I remember one time we were sitting there and this guy was like, there was like this little thing like, dude, you got to come to the bathroom. And I'm thinking, oh shit, there's gonna be a fight or something. And I walk in and there's this dude in our class who was like apparently double jointed fists or something, and he was, I mean, big guy, like big tough guy, and he was just punching the walls, brick walls, as hard as he could. I never feel pain in these. And I was, from that moment, I was like, this dude's gonna be in my circle. He's not probably gonna come to birthday parties and stuff, but when we're in school, I'm gonna make sure he sits next to us in lunch. Nobody ever messed with. He would be the guy where it would be like, hey, that guy's picking on that kid for no reason. Got it. He wouldn't even come up. He'd just be like, hey, pop. I was like, that's the guy you got to have in your circle.
You always look for those ones too, because you want to build yourself like the Infinity Stones. You know, you just want to collect yourself like a powerful gauntlet there. But it's my high school is a little different. It's I went through a K through 12 school, so like you'd walk down the same hallway and like see kindergartners and just be like, hey, what's up? You know what I mean? So there wasn't like a lot of throwing people into lockers or anything like that. And there was only 19 kids in our entire graduating class. So not a lot of cliques or anything like that either. I mean, you had like your farmers that were like really dedicated, then huge FFA people and stuff like that. You had the degenerates like me that just hung out in the home ec so we can sleep with the women that was in the class. So,
yeah, ours was K through 12 as well.
And a lot of people, whenever you bring that up, they're like, you had all 3 grades into one school. I'm like, yeah, that's just how it is. You know, you rode the same bus. Like, you can get on the bus and sit right next to a kid who's in 1st grade. You know what I mean? You're like, what's up, little buddy? You know what I mean? It's weird.
It was, yeah. And it was just kind of the same thing. And most of the schools around here, there's probably, I don't know, if I had to guess, less than 10 schools that have elementary or whatever, and middle schools and separate ones that go to a high school. Most of them are K through 12.
Those of you listening in, about ready to type your angry comment, yes, he said elementary, but he meant elementary.
Yes, I did.
Sherlock Holmes.
I thought it out in my head. I was like, elementary is going to say something, not elementary. that was a well thought out execution.
We have a town 3 miles away though that has even split up their high school, middle school, and elementary, and they're the exact same size as us. And I'm like, the fuck? So when you want to go play their ball fields, they have 3 different ball fields, and I'm like, somebody's funneling tax money here. I was like, who works for the cartel? Marty Bird from the Ozarks is over here out in Northwest Missouri now.
Now, were they one school and broke out to 3, or is it a new district where it was kind of?
No, it's always been the same county, and they just the middle school and the elementary used to be in the same one, but they ended up building a new elementary school for the 30 kids that are there all day.
See, some of those schools were starting to put that in their budgets around here because there's talks of trying to combine schools. So you might have, the one like you say, school 1 that has 19 kids. This other one that's, 20 miles away has even less with 12 kids in each class. You know what I mean? So they're trying to find central places and just kind of absorb and just get all of these schools. And it's funny to me because the biggest pushback on why they won't do it is sports. High school sports at the lowest class where you're lucky. I mean, there is probably, coming to my head, there's less than 5 people that came out of any sports around here to be professional at whatever they do. And even, they don't make a career of it. It's like, who gives a crap about sports? If you went from this school and now you were, a Jaguar, and now you have to go be a Knight or something, like, come on.
I have to look it up now, but I believe the famous person from our area, or not from mine, but from this town that's always trying to not consolidate, Roger Worley. He was like an American football player. Now I'm going to look it up.
Is that what Burley's real name is? Roger Worley?
I would like to say it's close. Man, I remember I skimmed through his video of a Snapchat, and I was just like, where does this guy work? Like, I was determined. I was like, I'm going to figure out what his name is. And then whenever I did, that's why I was so giddy to text you, and you're kind of like, that's cool, man. I'm like, motherfucker, I was like, I spent an hour skimming through this video. Like this, I'm like, I figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I figured out where he worked too, I'm like, this makes no sense. I'm like, this is clearly, I'm like, and I thought, I was like, did he put that as a joke? Because that looks like something that he'd put down as a joke. So
There's more layers to him. He's a complex man. He has the ability to be able to be to be burly on camera and, Roger Whirly in real life. Like, it's kind of cool. I mean, in a way, you know what I mean? He can get that personality out, and that makes sense. I mean, he was into wrestling as a kid, so I'm sure most wrestlers. I mean, Stone Cold's probably not going around, shotgunning beers and stunning people in the supermarket. Yeah.
Do you know what he's up to right now? He's taking care of like these random stray cats that he found, and he's a cat dad. Like
I randomly saw him on one of the feeds, and he was like in a creek or a river, and he was pulling out like a dam or something, and the water was flowing, and he got back up, and I'm like, that's the video. He walked down, pulled this thing out, walked up, and that was his video on his thing, and I'm like, son of a bitch, like. Look at that, you guys. You don't have to dance, and you don't have to talk about, whatever else, and eat random things to be just do what Stone Cold does.
He was talking about going to Carson City to get this like specific cat tower for these cats, and like the whole video is he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go get this cat tower, and he's just sitting there, and he's like, this is Muffins, and he's just sitting there like petting this cat and stuff like that. And you're like, Stone Cold, look at you Stone Cold pussy. Fucking look at you. I would never say that to his face.
No. You could. What's he going to do? He can't assault you. There's going to be cameras. He's got money. He's going to just settle. I mean, call him a pussy. He's not going to stun you. He's getting up there. But speaking of cats, you guys are cat owners, right? You guys like actually enjoy, most of the time having some cats. This probably isn't for the show, but I need some quick advice because we got this stray cat, and this cat's actually somewhat cool, but we have these other two cats who are just assholes. They're brothers, and they're beating the shit out of this cat. They don't even let him get to the litter box anymore. So I'm waking up at least in the morning, sometime at night, got to clean some random piss, got to clean some random shit, and I'm goddamn over it. You guys, like, honestly, as cat people, have any? I know you guys aren't vets, and this isn't professional advice, but you've had cats long enough. My thing is, I just want to get rid of them all. But that's not going over as a good option. So I'm looking for options.
So these are like farm cats.
They've always been house cats, from what I know. One was a drop. Somebody dropped off two cats, a brother and a sister. It ended up in the middle of winter when it was like -30. One of them passed away. This cat somehow found its way into a barn, my buddy's barn, and it was just like not gonna make it. And I made the mistake of like, oh, look at this poor cat, to the wife. And next thing you know, we have said cat.
So you're in.
But the
I
other
just want to understand. It's now your single indoor cat, and it just poops, shits, and pisses everywhere, and you're wondering.
No, it's because the other, and it wasn't always like this recently. The two other cats don't allow it to get to the litter boxes. There's two different rooms with litter boxes. It pins this cat in a corner, and it's like, that's your corner. You go nowhere. Almost like I would have to imagine some weird prison shit. And it just happened in like the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure what the hell's going on.
So how many, and I know this is getting into the weeds here, but how many shit boxes do you have total? How many cat boxes?
4.
3 cats? That's good. Yeah. That's good, actually. Had to do one That's more. Good, actually. Yeah. The rule of thumb, from what I've heard, I'm no expert, please understand that, is that you should have 2 for one cat, and then for every other cat, you should have 1 more. And so you're right to have 4 for 3 cats because cats love choices. Now, there's only 2 separate rooms, and they're not letting them in there. I mean, it sounds like you have an issue with territorial cats that you may need to separate, I think, is the biggest thing, because that's never going to change. Cats are pretty fucking rigid in who they like and who they don't like when it comes to other cats, generally.
The only thing I can think, in talking to some other people, was apparently like this time of the year is like cats, like outdoor cats or something, like mating season before winter sunset. So I think they're starting to be trying to, I'm the dominant one, because it's been fine up until the last couple of weeks, and I was just like, whatever.
Going to be Bob Barker, or are they spay and neutered?
They're all neutered. They're all dudes. They're all fixed.
Dude.
So that did help with us, because it seemed like during there was a stray cat that would come outside our place, and we would have one that wasn't fixed, that would spray next to the door, and I'm like, you son of a bitch. And I'm, again, wanted to get rid of it. It was the one that was added to the, which we have 3, and it's a gigantic pain in the ass. And so we did the same thing. We kept adding litter boxes, switched them into different rooms and everything. At one point we were up to 5 litter boxes, and I'm like, this is a fucking mess. I'm like, what is going on? So getting him neutered helped, and also trying to keep these fucking strays from coming around my house too. So if I see anything, I'm like the crazy fucking person just going outside trying to fucking scare the shit out of it.
You should get a blowgun and shoot little paintball. That's what I do. I'm not going to shoot somebody. I'm not going to shoot a stray cat. And to be honest, like, even if I don't like an animal, it's my choice to take the animal. I'm not going to just kill an animal. Like, a lot of people are like, just get rid of it. Just give it some lead poisoning. I'm like, I'm not going to just kill one of the cat. You know what I mean? The cat. Like, it'd be one thing. Like, if anything, I'm going to drop it off to the buffet potentially in the town, and they can serve it up. It'll serve its purpose or whatever. That's a joke. So I have a blowgun, and they make little paintballs for it. So so I'll just get the blowgun out, and I'll be, and it'll hit it, and it'll get a little mark. It's obviously not going to hurt it that bad. I mean, but I'm like,
that's a good idea. I think I gotta get myself a blowgun now, because now that sounds awesome as shit. Because we have possums too that always come by.
Oh, if you're looking to actually take out something, they make like darts for them with like lead tips and stuff like that. So like I was sitting there one day, and I was in the studio right here, and I looked, and there was like a little mouse that was like getting in and was chewing some shit. I had like a bag of rice or something on there, so I'm sitting there, I grab it, and I go, killed it. It went right through the mouse, stuck into the wall, and then it was starting to do like, it was kind of alive still, so I had to go and give it a little, and I was just like, holy shit. And all of a sudden I go to the wife, I'm like, look it. She goes, no way. I'm like, first shot. It was probably the coolest. I'm not a hunter, so it was pretty cool. Donnie Dust would have approved.
Did you just put like a little burlap sack over your crotch and everything, and just make like a little tribal suit? You're like, I'm all man now. Like, this is me. Like, this is what I've become.
I tried.
Hunt for my food every time now.
The mouse skin was too big for my crotch.
So I wanted to say something. That's a good moment to segue. You were talking about cats. I told you boys, maybe I did offline or not. I purchased a one of those expensive $800 like automatic cat shit things that like recycles itself, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
I did it on credit, so it wasn't $800 at once. I was able to pay it same as cash over a certain amount of time.
Was it the not to get too into the weeds? Was it the Amazon one? Have you ever seen that? They do a 0% interest on purchases. So I was just curious. I debated doing that recently. So.
No, you're good. And it's not the only one that has this, so just understand. But pretty much anything you have nowadays is going to have an app for it. But it literally has an app that lets you know how much it's full, how much litter is left, how many scoops you've saved, and how much the shit weighs afterwards.
And they even do like a health, like they can detect health wise of your cats based on the weight and the density of. Because I've looked into them, I really wanted one, so I'm glad you have it. So, would you say so? Going back to it, you have to have 4 or 5 litter boxes. Do you still have other ones out there, or is this only
I've
only
got
one?
3 for 2 cats, but we haven't had to do. I mean, it took them about a week or so to kind of get used to it, because what the hell is this, first of all? And then when I get done with it, after 2 minutes, it moves and cycles, and like, what the hell is this shit, But now they're using it exclusively, and like, I don't even have to change the other ones now. Yeah.
Did you see the lawsuit on what happened to a cat with one of those? I don't know which specific one it was, but because the wife and I were just talking about that, or this a couple of days ago, but apparently a cat got decapitated because its head got stuck in like the revolving part or whatever. I guess it was in there and it got it. So there was some kind of like recall on a specific one or whatever. I'm like, oh my god!
You send me a link to that
one? It could. Nice.
That's I was like, give me 2.
Yeah. What's the return policy on that?
Also, cats fucking suck because Brandon, I didn't get to tell you this. I told Matt this. I was pretty pissed off.
I forgot about that.
Yes, that's why you guys were like, do you have cats? I'm like, yeah. They're really fun and super cheap to have. I have this cat that is an overweight, lazy piece of shit.
Is it Stephen Purry?
It's not Stephen Burry, even though he's a Maine Coon, so I give him a reason to be a little fluffy, you know. So we did weigh him. He's 21 pounds. And the other cat, who's not a Maine Coon, is 19, and he's short haired. So I'm like, jeez, fat fuck. So he started getting sick and just green bile just every time, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And the cat's not eating, and I'm like, this cat does nothing but eat. I'm like, there's something's up. We take him to the vet, and the vet kept him overnight. And the next morning, they're like, hey, you guys can just go ahead and take him. Everything seems to be fine. And I'm like, really? So he ate? And they're like, no, but he let us pet him and stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, but he didn't eat. And I'm like,
Wait, was this your doctor? Did you have a double visit? It sounds like what they were telling for you.
So it pretty much, I'm like, this is the same. I'm like, did you guys all get your degrees to the same fucking place? I'm like, this is ridiculous. But they, this was a different vet than we normally deal with, because ours apparently had a couple days off, and so so they're like, he's fine. We're allowed to pet. Like, he let us pet him and stuff like that. And I'm like, did he eat anything? They're like, no. And they're like, he didn't poop either. I'm like, yeah, because he didn't fucking eat. I'm like, that's the problem. Like, look at this guy. Does it look like he's ever missed a meal? And they're like, so do you want us to like give him an x-ray? And I'm like, yeah, preferably just check him out. I don't give a fuck, you know? So they do the x-ray, and they're like, yeah, we didn't find anything. Go ahead and take him. And I'm like, oh, okay. Did he ever eat? They're like, no. And I'm like, okay. So as I'm getting ready to go over there, my vet shows up, and they're like, hey man, this cat is definitely not acting right. I'm going to give him an x-ray and look at myself. And I'm like, okay, don't charge me again, motherfucker. You already did it once. I'm like, what the fuck? And he goes, there's a perfect square in his gut. And he's like, we don't know what this is. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, we're going to have to cut him open. I'm like, son of a bitch. And when they did, they took it out. It was a fucking makeup sponge. I swear to God, this big. He ate the whole, it looks like the shape of like an egg, but the base of it is a square. So he ate this entire fucking thing. I don't even know how. And it was completely intact. When they took it out, apparently it absorbed some of his shit. So
yeah,
it came out, and they're like, what is this? And they cut it, and it was bright pink. And the women go, it's a makeup sponge. And they're like, how the hell did he get it all in one bite?
Jesus, he's part python.
Dude, it's just that he doesn't chew anything, and that's why every time I watch him eat, I'm like, this cat's not chewing at all. He's like a shop vac, just getting all this shit in. And they're like, leave him alone. He's just a husky boy. Like, Dad, you can relate. And I'm like, first of all, fuck you. Low blow. Don't compare me to this damn cat. I'm not out here fucking inhaling all this shit. I've never ate a makeup sponge.
Did you change his name to Eddie Van Halen?
Going to. Holy shit, I gotta write that down.
Eddie Van and Halen.
Dude, can you imagine that? Stephen Purry and Eddie Van Halen? Oh my God.
That's a duo. It's not like animals that respond to the names half the time.
Luckily, the vets around here are really good. I'll send them to the vet. We've had to do this a few weeks ago, 2 months ago or so, less than that, about a month or two ago. We took him to the vet, stopped eating, about 19, 20 pounds, big-ass boy cat. Okay, he's not eating. What's going on? He's drinking water. He's going back to the bathroom, but he's just not eating. What's going on? So we took him. Because they're vets, say, okay, let's feel by his bladder to see if he's not pissing. You know. So do I feel? Okay. We'll do the field test. Okay. Then do we need to? Is he acting lackadaisical? Okay. So then we probably need to, like you said, X-ray him, and then we need to keep him overnight, feed him, and make sure he's pissing and shitting. And then when he does that, then we can test it. But we also additionally, in the meantime, test his blood. So they're doing all of these things, which cost a lot of money, but they're doing it for you, so you're not like, yeah, I pet him and he seems all right. You can just come take him home. You're the fucking expert. I'm paying you money to make sure my cat doesn't die. So I'm not going to be the one that tells you what you need to do, because I expect you to say, well, we've X-rayed him, we've done this, and we don't think there's anything wrong. Which at that point, they did all of those things, and they said he was fine. He came back home and he was fine. He ate and everything's good. And sometimes they do that, but
he just needed a vacation.
What kind of weird fucking vet? Yeah, right before vacation. What kind of weird vet, though, vet's office doesn't know? Yeah, that's wild.
Well, They even have you fill out a form too. They're like, hey, what's the maximum amount that you pretty much give a fuck about your pet?
I know. That's always the worst when they're like, if something happens, do you want us to save them and spend all this extra money or let them go? And I'm always like, let them go. Like, listen, our kids have watched Frozen enough. They watched enough Disney movies to know that loss and heartbreak is a thing. They'll get over it.
They will. And so, like, I just hate when they're like, hey, what's the amount? And I'm like, how much is this cat worth? I'm like, carry the one.
What's the first number that pops in your head when you're like, all right, cat in? What's the first number that you guys all think? The first one that popped in my head was like $1,500
for the max that you would spend, or what you think it's going to cost, just generally.
The max you're going to spend.
Oh, man.
Cats specifically. I have to imagine my dog. I spent some money on this little guy, like one of the two dogs. I'm spending a little more on him, maybe like $2,000.
I love my cat. Now I love one of them more than the other. I would say 6 for one, 2 for the other, probably.
6,000 for one, 2,000.
I don't have any dogs though, so we've had this guy since he was about 10 weeks old. We love him to death. He's a little shit, but we love him. The other one's just dumb. But
yeah.
I like how we all we're not afraid to play favorites with our animals. We're like, this one's kind of a piece of shit. It just
listen. I hate to break it to anybody watching or listening into this, but your parents had a favorite, and it likely wasn't you. And I'm not trying to be mean because I also wasn't the favorite. It's natural. It happens. Now, whether or not they spell it out or I love you all the same, bullshit.
No, my parents have told me, but after I think let's say 35 years of being the not favorite, since I'm the older, at least I'm the executive on the will now. So I feel like I'm moving up in the world.
So mine's a little morbid. I wasn't the favorite, but the favorite died, so I became the favorite. So.
Jesus Christ! Didn't need to open up this wound. Golly.
Sometimes by default you end up.
So you take your wins and your losses. So it's just
this reminds me of. I had a really good friend. We used to go. When I was a journalist, we used to go out to, we'd call it the press club. There was no actual press club, but it was just basically a local bar where we'd get drunk. And
hell yeah,
we'd have a conversation. And he told me one time, this dude is the funniest dude you ever met, like just easygoing. He's like, yeah, there was a house fire when I was a kid and my sister got caught in it and died. Okay, that's fucking awful. So a couple weeks later, not thinking, like we were talking, I don't know what it was. It was just one of those things where it was like a mixture of like your filter's off / you're recalling a memory and it just comes in and I go, I'd rather die in a house fire. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Before I could get out, he was like, dude, that was good. I was like, but
it's the booze. It's the booze. I'm telling you, sometimes it just comes. I've made a mama joke on somebody that was within 2 weeks was just telling me how they lost their mom, and it was just like, oh, and I haven't made a yo mama any kind of mom joke since. Like,
so I don't know what it is too. So when someone tells me something like that, and something in my brain's always like, hey, don't mention that. Don't mention anything like that. Don't mention anything like that. Mm-hmm. So there'll be somebody like, hey, I had a brother that drowned or whatever. And I'm like, oh, sweet, sweet, sweet. And, just be like,
sweet.
sweet. Okay, good. Yeah.
Bars drowning in pussy over here. Look at this. Like, it's just like, dude, what the fuck? I'm just like, oh, yeah, don't say that. And always I end up dropping something and I'm like, why do I keep doing this? I'm like, don't say it. Every time. I don't know. So
I've had so many awkward moments like that. I mean, we had a DD once, and unfortunately this person just like had a miscarriage. They were a DD, so they still weren't drinking or whatever. And doesn't one of the guys in there, it was like, don't say anything. Babies, your kid, nothing. And next thing you know, Michael Jackson came on the thing. So there was some kid jokes, and then it just kept getting darker and darker and darker and darker. And we were just, and we're like, what? And then all of a sudden it was like, I mean, granted, this was at like 3 or 4 in the morning after several, like intoxicated, like can't get out of bed, drunk the next day. I don't even remember what I said, but it wasn't good. And I don't know why our brains work like that. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just because you're like, hey, I'm gonna be defiant. Don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It's and I always laugh at inappropriate times too. Like if funerals, anything like that. If I'm around anything, I'm just like, someone would be like, hey, like there was somebody that got into a car accident and there was a lady in front of me. She's like, yeah, I would never get a Jeep. Those things are a death trap. And I'm like, timing. I'm like, what are you saying, lady? And it's always like extremely old people that have no filter. They're like, yeah, Reginald died 13 years ago today too. It's like, who gives a fuck about Reginald? This is not about Reginald. Who gives a fuck? Like, it's just, I love it.
So this just popped in my brain. It has nothing to do with any of that, but the fire talk, whatever. So I think I shared with you guys a while ago. There's a guy that I went to school with, and he was delivering pizzas for a living. Like, and he had this vehicle called the General Wee. Does that ring a bell? Did I ever show you guys? So it's this little teeny tiny car like this. I don't think this is the actual one, but it was like this. So this is what he would deliver pizzas in. And then at one point, somebody, and it's in a college town, so at some point, a college kid put it in there, it went viral, whatever else. So recently, he had this car at a car shop, just getting some repairs, whatever. I think it was going to be a while. So he, I guess, took it off the road, and a vehicle next to him miraculously burned. Not sure what's going on with that, but it caught his car on fire. And because it was off the road, his insurance won't cover it. And because it was ruled accidental fire, which I'm not sure how vehicles just accidentally catch on fire, the car dealership or repair shop, whatever it was, isn't liable. So he's got this vehicle that unless he spends, the whole quarter panel caught on fire, you can see the insides. I'm assuming that there's no way that the state is ever going to pass it to be on the road again. And I'm just like, oh man, good on gas, good on there. So I don't ever get on the book of faces. So I get on there last night. The first thing that pops up is this guy. He wanted to replace them. He buys 2 of them. They're just, like a white one and a black one. I forget the colors. But he buys not 1, but 2. So I don't know if he's going to repaint it, if he's going to have it redone, what he's going to do. And the wife was like, what are they, electric or something? Is he going to have like one charging while the other one's there? And then when it runs out of battery, he just swaps them? Like, why 2? And I'm like, it's because that's this guy. And his name is Richard Day. And we always called him Dick. Dick Day. Funny. Dude, I want to, if we had like an interview style show, I wanted to bring him on because he had something happen to him that more or less he was dating this girl, took off to work or whatever. I don't know if they got in a fight or whatever. He was on his motorcycle. He gets hit on his motorcycle, like hard, right? And apparently it was his girlfriend that hit him, right? And he's all messed up, like pretty hurt. But the funny part is, he got hit right in front of a stopped school bus. So there was a bunch of kids horrified watching a man. And apparently he popped up like, ah! And the adrenaline wore off to the kids on the bus. So if that's not funny enough, he's telling the story at the bar, and all of a sudden somebody goes, oh, wait, you were the guy that got hit? I was a kid on that bus. And I'm like, what? And I was like, so he tells his side. I'm like, I need you 2 fuckers on the podcast to tell this story.
That would be awesome.
Dude, I was crying laughing about that. So maybe Dick Day, if you're listening, shoot me a message, and we'll get you and the other guy on the show. Holy shit. Man.
Oh, my God.
Granted, small town things like that do happen, but... yeah, I don't know. I forgot to do this at the beginning of the show, so I'm going to give a quick shout out to our friends of the show because we love them and they love us. And they're probably listening to this and be like, why didn't you say this? Why is it towards the end? Well, you saved the best things for the end is what they say. So make sure you guys go to brioforlife.com. They got trimmers. You can trim your balls, you can trim your beard, you can trim your chest, you can trim anything you want. Or you can even buy a toothbrush. They have everything you need. Brio for Life. Use code BEARDLOSS if you want. I'm thinking about every time I get on there, they have the one to shave your head. I'm thinking about going bald again because I'm sick of having hair. And then when I take my hat off and it's bald here and nowhere else. So I'm thinking about that. And when I do that, I'm going to buy the nose hair trimmer. Keep buying these cheap nose hair trimmers. I don't know if you guys trim your nose hair.
Oh, yeah.
The cheap ones suck. They got the little plastic thing and you're in there and you're shaving. This one looks official, like a referee with a whistle. So again, brioforlife.com. Use code BEARDLAWS if you want to save some money. If not, then I guess just go there, click the thing that says save 10%, and you can go that way and not support us, you sons of bitches. And,
do you ever pull your nose hairs?
Yeah.
Oh, I love the feeling of that. God damn, I don't know what it is. I'll be over there and just, and I'll get like 10 of them. Just be like, oh, that was a good
Your eyes
one. I
water.
feel like a gold member. That's a
You know, you've heard the old wives' tale of don't do that to yourself because what could happen? You could get an infection in your brain and die. You've heard of that, right?
No, is that true?
I mean, it's like swallowing gum.
That explains everything,
dude. You guys keep taking away everything I love. What the
fuck? Plucking nose hairs can cause nasal cavity infection called nasal vestibulitis, whatever that is, caused by Staphylococcus bacteria that enters wounds in the nose caused by plucking, blowing your nose, or other injuries. It's easily treated in most cases. In severe cases, it can lead to complications such as boils, blisters, or even a deep infection, which could go to the brain and cause blood clots behind the eye sockets.
Dude,
so whatever.
Brandon just diagnosed you.
Fucking terrified. God damn.
You have syphilococculitis.
I have cock in my nostrils, and from what I heard is
of all the things you said, cock was the one that stood out.
So, do you mind if I bring this up? All right, let me unsip it.
Yeah, it's already up.
I don't know if you guys did, but I got some hot sauce this week.
Ooh,
did you guys?
Do tell.
We are supposed to, but I haven't got mine yet.
I got mine this week, and it is it's pretty good.
We can talk about it. Like I said, we don't have it, and I think I told him to the creator, if you want to tell them, there. I told him he could come on for a little bit of the show. We could just do exactly what we're doing. And do you have it near you? Like I said, if you want to show it, and then when we all have it, because he wanted us
upstairs.
To
I'd have to go get it. I could.
Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine. And this guy, he was in the beard world, and he used to do the freestyle beards. So it was the ones where you decorate them, you put the rings, whatever. And he actually kind of shifted being like the beard world content stuff, because there's only so much you can do, trust me. And he ended up getting into hot sauces, and he's even gotten to the point where he was on Hot Ones season 23.
Nice.
What?
Yep. So that's what I think I told you, but I think that's what I had you send me over your address. I said, hey man, we're not looking for anything other than just send us some hot sauce. We'll either organically do it, or we'll get you on the show, whatever works.
So I
out.
posted a link in the chat. I'm not sure if you guys are interested, but at the bottom of there, I'll show you the one that he sent me two. So if you
And I asked him, I said, listen, stay out of my fridge is the platform to show off this sauce. I said, Brandon J. McDermott, I said, he's the food daddy. And I said, you know what? I didn't realize it was a little bit awkward saying that until I said there. He goes, it's not that weird unless you call him daddy. I said, don't judge me. But he ended up, I said, he likes the hot stuff. I said, I am a pussy when it comes to the hot stuff. I said, I can't handle it. He goes, but I said, I want to try the one that was on Hot Ones, and anything else you want to send me, whatever. And then I said, for Euban, just kind of have fun with it. I don't know if you overly love super hot or not, but
I like to punish myself sometimes. Like, I guess when I go to B-dubs, I love mango habanero is one of my basic ones, and then like wilds or whatever. So I mean, I like the hot stuff.
So he sent me the chimchar, which I haven't tried yet, and then which is like a chimichurri, charred serrano peppers, and then the smoky 3 at the bottom. That's the one that was on Hot Ones, and that is just a jalapeno sauce. But you literally taste. It says on the back of it that it's jalapenos that were like oak aged or oak whatever. You can taste the oak in it. It is like very, very good. It's a very smoky flavor of a jalapeno sauce, but good on everything. Literally, awesome. Like you could throw it on eggs and steak, and I mean anything you'll eat it with. I threw it on a bologna sandwich. It was so good.
I wanted to potentially try the funky garlic. I love garlic.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what he does. And if you guys are wondering what we're talking about, what is it? Sam's S.A. House? Sam's a House?
Sam sauce is the way I've always thought about it. It's a house. Sauce.
Oh, okay.
Sam's sauce.
That makes sense. Sauce. Yeah, and the guy on there, if you guys are looking at the website, or if you're watching it on YouTube, the picture of him, that's him. That's Sam. And he's been doing some festivals and stuff, and had some really good chats with him and everything. So again, he was like, "Hey, can I just send you guys some sauces?" Not a paid thing, but as you know, we love to help people. We love to help companies. Doesn't matter big or small. We like to help. And this is no offense to anybody that we've ever worked with. We like to help the little guys. And whether it's a Rascal watch, which they did come out with bracelets and chains, and I'm going to be all chained out and stuff. You're not going to be able to see the chain around my neck, but I'm going to have the bracelet and stuff. I'm super excited about that. And yeah, like I said, just one of those things. We're not out here being like, hey, go spend all your hard-earned money on stuff because they're working well. No, these are stuff that we truly think are pretty cool. Like, we love hot sauce. It makes sense. Potentially, we're going to be working with some more pretzel stuff. You guys can obviously check out Milwaukee Pretzels, but there's going to be another pretzel company that I think sent up some stuff. So hopefully, let me know if you guys get that, because Brandon and Euban, you guys should be getting that as well too. So for some reason, yeah, Euban, if you don't get the hot sauce, let me know. We'll figure it out. I'm trying to think, like, if maybe it was like you were super sick at the time you were sending them and I didn't. I don't know. I'll follow up on it regardless.
Yeah.
So
pretzels, whether it's soft, regular pretzels, I love me some pretzels. And the mall that's around is closing, and I think I mentioned before I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Auntie Anne's? Whatever the hell the pretzel.
You mean like they're shuttering, or they're just your local location is closing?
The whole mall is eventually. I mean, I think the only thing left is a J.C. Penney and I think there's a Chinex is what it's called, like the Chinese restaurant. That's the only thing that's still, I think, open in that entire mall.
Sounds like the one near me. They actually just turned it into some kind of warehouse distribution something. I don't even know, but
they're wanting to turn ours into a indoor sports complex with like meeting spaces around it and stuff. So a pretty cool vision of, like, they want to have like indoor baseball and stuff. So that way when these tournaments are in town, there's a backup option to house it indoors for weather related, that way if it's not raining or whatever. But they have like big plans. But I don't know. It's always these, we keep hearing about those things, and a decade later, like, I wonder whatever happened to that. Nothing, fucking nothing. But yeah, I used to go over there, to get the pepperoni pretzel, or like, and they had like the spicy fucking cheese sauce. Oh my god, it was amazing.
No, it would be ironic if Jeff Bezos started a mall chain, seeing how he killed all the malls with Amazon. If he started a chain of malls where he could just have different departments of his own stuff. Like, hey, come over to the Amazon sporting goods. Hey, come over to the Amazon, returned place and pick some stuff out of bins. Come over to the then people might start going to malls again.
That's not a bad idea, honestly. He sleep with one eye open, because he's gonna be like, you never came up with that idea. Get you.
I don't. Yeah, regardless, I'm probably not. He's not going to put one anywhere near me. Let's be honest. So
he'll put one in you.
Oh, hey. Anyway, I was getting. No, we're gonna move past that one. But no, yeah. I used to like going to the malls. I've been seeing these memes lately where all the the people our age, because we're starting to get older, like, man, I wish my kids could have grown up through this. Where it's like, put on your ripped clothes. I guess we're coming full circle with that. Get out on a bicycle. Ride all day, hang out with your friends. Whether it was pick up this, just be outside and do the thing. And then it's like, now things have changed. That's my perspective on it. Like, if we all had the technology that our kids did, we'd be doing the same goddamn thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then if, as a parent, if you're the one that, you're forcing your kids not to be on technology, to be like you were growing up, you're going to raise some weird ass kids. Like, you just can't raise them like that anymore.
It's my daughter was, she has Snapchat and stuff like that. And she's always on these FaceTime calls with everybody. And of course, you know how it is with K through 12 schools. It's, you could be friends with people from 15 miles away, this way, that way, and so, but she's talking, she's like, yeah, I'm in a group chat with all these kids from, this town 40 miles away. And I'm like, how do you know all these people? She's like, oh, through here and here and here. And she's like, I've got like 500 friends on Snapchat now. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, what the hell? But then I was thinking about whenever I was growing up, it was MSN Messenger. It was like the same thing. We would get on group chats and stuff, and it was that's how we communicated. And they're able to instantly FaceTime with each other and do all this stuff, and it's a crazy time. I wouldn't want to do that. I'm so glad that we had a little bit of privacy, and the fact that dial-up internet, if my mom wanted to answer the phone, I could step away for a little bit.
Yeah, but it's nice because they're actually and my daughter's doing the same thing. They're actually FaceTiming. They're talking. It's kind of moved past the text only phase of things, where, you know what I mean? Like, it was just texting. Nobody would pick up the phone and call. at least they're talking to each other face to face. If you're going to be a bitch, you're going to be an asshole to somebody, you're at least talking it out, and you're not sitting behind the keyboard warriors or the text and, saying some shitty stuff, which that still happens. But, and at the end of the day, if you're raising shitty kids, they're going to be shitty whether they're on the internet or in the streets. Plant corn, get corn kind of mentality,
Is your daughter in like the 6 people group chats too with like the FaceTimes, everything?
I have to imagine, to be honest, like I don't overly monitor it. You know what I mean? She's has restrictions to a lot of the stuff. I mean, she's still pretty young. I didn't really want her on the apps, but you kind of have to because all the other friends are on them. But I have to imagine there's groups, and she's got like kind of one friend that she talks to more than others. But I think they do those Square video calls or whatever app it is. Man, I sounded old right there.
They like watch. You can. They have like the app where you can watch movies together and stuff like that too. So, I mean, constantly doing stuff together. And I'll always, knock on the door and like peek in, and they're always like, "Hi, my kid's dad," and everything. I'm
Hi,
like,
Wackenoff, Mr. Wackenoff. No,
hi,
don't call me that.
But the one of their friends did find my TikTok one time, and I was like, "Hey." I was like, no. And they're like, I don't think they know it's you. And then they're like, she was like 2 days later, she's like, she knows it's you. I was like, son of a bitch. So that's why I don't post as much, because I feel like I gotta behave, but I don't know. Life's too short. I'm gonna be a piece of shit again soon.
Yeah. And it's cool because they can hang out with these friends 40 miles away, and it's not like they can ride their bike there, or we can drop them off while we're working. So like they have the ability to communicate and still see and talk to friends. And it's nice because where we live, and the wife and her family and the kids, they go to school 55 minutes away. So it's like harder for them to, do stuff, whether it's a boyfriend or a friend or something. So at least they have the ability to pick up the phone. Like I was trying to give her advice the other day from a dude's perspective. The oldest is talking to her boyfriend. He's clearly playing some video games. So I was just like, just kind of, interrupting, seeing what the hell they're doing. And she was just like, try him with this. And then I was like, just let him play his video games. You think he wants to be on the headphone playing a video game instead of chatting with the boys, chatting with you? He's only listening to 10% of the shit that you're saying. Like, you have 2 options. You either start playing the video game with him or just let him play the video game. Like, find a different time. That's his time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, whether you're reading a book or doing whatever girly shit you're doing, your nails, this is the equivalent for a dude. Let him have his time.
We gotta have your time. Dude's gotta have like that little bit of advice, that little bit of a break to get away, a little bit of an outlet. So
but then I was like, what game's he playing? Thinking, because he's into esports, I'm thinking maybe like League of Legends or something like that. He's like, he's playing some Minecraft. And I was like, oh, fuck it, chat with him, whatever. He's playing. And there's no offense to the Minecraft community, but I feel like that's a game where you can still do what you're doing and do that. And he's like, he's just editing a video for the YouTube for his Minecraft. I'm like, what is his YouTube? I don't know. I'm like, bullshit. What is the YouTube? I was like, just tell me. I told him I wouldn't tell you. I was like, I will find the goddamn YouTube. I'm going to give you a week to just do it. Or the next time I see him, it's embarrassment 30. I'm like, give me the goddamn YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, so Brandon, have you ever played Minecraft?
I've played, yes.
He's a Minecrafter.
I've had servers, and yes.
My kids tried to get me on it too, and they're like, hey, Dad, do the crafting table and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, do this and this, and then you can get like an axe and then pickaxe and everything. I'm like, okay, I'm figuring this stuff out. I finally built like a house, and they're like, it's not bad, Dad. Then they show me theirs, and it's like 18 stories and all these rooms, and they got beds and stuff. And I'm like, how the hell did you guys do that at the same time I did mine? I tried to enjoy it, but I'm just too stupid for it.
No, it's fun. It is, once you get past it, looks like Legos, because I've had friends that are like, I'm not playing this stupid game like it's 1983. Like, once you get past that and you get into the idea of it, it's so immersive. It's as fun and complicated of a game as you want it to be. It can be simple as let's go hide from the scary people trying to kill me at night, to hey, let's build this train and make a city and do so.
That's They had to turn off, I think it's the survival mode or whatever too, because I could never build fast enough to get safe, and I was always dying from like the enders or whatever the heckle was trying to kill us every time. And they're like, Dad, are you down again? And I'm like, yes. Leave me alone. And they're like, it's okay, we'll go ahead and just turn this off so you can just start building. And sure enough, I'm like, okay, I'm having fun, everything. I look and I go, it's been 3 fucking hours? I'm like, get out. No. And they're like, isn't it fun? And I'm like, this actually wasn't bad.
One of us. One of us.
One of us.
Pretty much. And so they're, of course, on their Nintendo Switches and their phone and everything. They're like, Dad, you're finally enjoying it. And I'm one of those ones where I'll go hard into the paint on this for like a week. And then I burn myself out of it. And I'm like, I got to play this shit again for a couple months. And so whenever I finally got to that day, they're like, all right, Dad, like, hey, you want to load into our server again? And I'm like, nah. And they're like, oh, man. They're like, he's reached his limit. Like, he's done. And they're like, you might as well just kick him out. He won't be in it again for another month. And I'm like, yeah, that's just how it is. You guys know it. You guys understand, Dad.
Yep. But if you little shits want to challenge me in NCAA football, let me know, because I got to drop $1,200 just to get a new console and a game.
I really wanted to fucking play that. And of course, the kids, they each have newer Xboxes than I do. And I'm like, okay, well, I was sick. And I was like, I'll play NCAA. Like, this is what's out. Like, this is perfect time. I'm going to be a bum and become a stud at this game. Your Xbox is not compatible. And I go, of fucking course it isn't. And I'm like, son of a gun.
Yep. And if I was to ever be able to have time to play a game, which unfortunately in my life I allocate not to, I would want it on PC. And it's not a PC game, console only. So I'm out.
Don't even play VR enough.
I know, we need to get back into that. But either way, let's go ahead and end this. I just looked at the clock for the first time, and it has been a blast. So thanks to everybody that's listening. Obviously, thanks, Euban. Good to see you feeling better. Brandon J. Always a pleasure. Go NDSU. And Brandon, we actually were talking about you on the Triple T podcast with Nebraska football. And we are weeks away from college football. Goop loves himself some sports, and he said, you know what? And he I don't know if you guys have ever had a conversation, but he's like, you know what? I think Nebraska is starting to put some pieces in place. I could see them being relevant in the next couple of years again. You know, because we were talking the year, whatever. I think it was the year that Nebraska lost in, you know, the big game. It wasn't the national championship. It was one of the big bowls or whatever. And he was like, I'm telling you, they're coming back. And then I was like, oh, Brandon J. McDermott. He's the only one I know who's a Nebraska fan.
So I have, before we go, and I apologize, an app on my phone called Countdown. One of them happens to say, the last time Nebraska made a bowl game, 2,774 days. It's been 7 years, you guys. So
since a bowl game? Like a relevant bowl game, or even like the, say
we haven't hit 6 wins since 2016. It's been 3-9, 5-7, 4-8, 5-7, 3-9, 5. Yeah, that's what it's been. 4-8. We had 1 3-9 year, mostly 5-7. But Nebraska, we could go into details. There's a lot of misconceptions about Nebraska football, but we were basically, in short, we were relevant from 1962 until 2016. Now, relevant in that we were making bowl games, we were in the top 25-ish. Now, we were on top of our game from basically 1970 until 1969 until 2001. No team won more than us in the 80s. Florida State won a couple more games in the 90s. It could be arguable that which team was better, program was better in the 90s, Florida State or Nebraska. Florida State had something crazy like from 87 to 2001. They were ranked in the top 5 the whole time.
That's wild.
Which is just mind-boggling. But which is crazy too. But Nebraska, being Nebraska in the middle of nowhere, 1.7 to 1.9 million people, to be considered a blue blood at all, it's amazing. Can we win this year? Who knows? But I feel like a fucking Cubs fan after being a Yankees fan for
it. Yeah, but I mean, you got to at least have a little bit of excitement that they've changed things up. They're expanding the playoff. At least for me, that's gonna, because I don't have a team, so it's a little bit different for me. Like, I didn't go to a big school. I don't root for a big school. There isn't one near me. Like, I haven't. We've talked about that, but it's like I am going to watch it now, knowing that there is going to be a expanding.
And that's the thing. Last thing I'll say, because I know this is, well, fuck it. This is what dads do when we sit around the refrigerator.
That's right.
The great thing about the expansion to 12 teams, and I don't know if it's going to go to 16 or if it's going to stay at 12, but the greatest thing about that is that Nebraska football, for many reasons, will never see the 90s again. One of them being a change in Prop 48, which has allowed Nebraska to take partial qualifiers, people who didn't hit the grades, and they had like a semester or 2 semesters to make the grades, 2.0 GPA, or hit an ACT score or SAT score. Nebraska built themselves on that. Their championship team in 95 had like 10 people starting that were Prop 48 kids who were partial qualifiers to start. Anyway, that's one of the things. Changes in scholarships and all that thing. So basically, in a nutshell, Nebraska was never going to be one of the top 2 teams in the country again to make the national title game. It was just not going to happen for various and varied reasons. Nebraska can be one of the top 12 teams at some point in a given year if Kansas State and Missouri and even Iowa State can have a year where they go off. It can happen, and that's promising for college football, even with the crazy conglomeration that you're seeing with the combination of conferences.
Yeah. So right now it's a 12 playoff participants, which are going to consist of the 5 highest ranked conference champions, and then the next 7 highest ranked teams and the 4 highest conference champs are going to be seeded 1 through 4 with a first round bye. So there's going to be essentially, like you said, no matter what, 7 teams. And there's always that complaint, well, this team just went 14-0. They were ranked number 3 but didn't make it. So you're going to get a lot of colleges that just have to go more or less all in for a year or two, get some transfers, put the pieces together, and pay these college kids the right amount of money.
But you know what's going to be fun? And I don't know, listen, we're speaking in what's happening today and not how college football can look in 5 years. They could break off. It could be the top 48 teams or 60 teams make their own league. I mean, that could happen. But if things stay where it's at currently and Old Dominion still playing Alabama, kind of a thing, then you could potentially see a year where Liberty or Coastal Carolina or one of these one-offs that back in the day, Boise State, Fresno State, Hawaii, could go off and have a year where they could go undefeated and make a top 12. And now it's no longer could they play with Florida, Florida State, or Tennessee, or Nebraska, or Alabama. It's let's put it on the field and see. So it could be fun like this. It could be potentially fun like March Madness and cheering for a team. None of my dogs are I have no dogs in this fight, but it's fun to cheer for that underdog.
Yeah, that Cinderella story, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, of the power conferences, you just got to win the conference. So it kind of shifts focus on, your schedule, how they're going to schedule. Like maybe I don't take a chance on this other game because really if I just need to make the top 12, I have to just win my conference. Whether it's the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, SEC, and what's the other one? Pac? There's a West Coast one.
Gone.
Is that one?
Yeah,
Has it gone?
I miss the old Big 12, man, because that's when you were talking about the Nebraska days. I'm like, being a Mizzou fan, fuck, I hated it. And still a big fuck you to Kansas. KUPU is what we used to say whenever I was in kindergarten. I hate that damn school. The rivalry is still there. Fuck you, Kansas.
Yeah, but hey, it's exciting times. We're around the corner from that. Football, all the good stuff. But all right, we'll get out of here. Speaking of fridges, I'm gonna go raid my fridge. I actually have some decent leftovers I'm super excited about. So I'm gonna go eat some food. Appreciate anybody that's still listening for whatever reason. Euban, Brandon, hope you be good to your wieners. Be good to yourselves. Go eat something good. That's all I got. You guys got anything else?
I can't promise anything that you just said.
Okay, and don't remember, we covered a lot of things from Pogs to Bong and Dong, so I'm going to go play some Pogs. Okay, bye. Buckle up tight. It's going to be a wild ride. We're diving deep into your fridge where secrets hide. Mysteries of leftovers, the wonders inside. From moldy sandwiches to ancient yogurt jars.